Woodland. I arrived like well after dark, so I'm trying to figure out how I can get my camp set up. I do have a head torch. Really nice day, it's hot, not really cold at all really. You know, I'm busy putting up the tarp over here. The Lavvu will go up, and then yeah, get a fire going, cook dinner, chill out and enjoy, crack open a beer or two. So there we have it, the lamb chop, and in the tin over there is the mushrooms for now, and then get some of the juice of the mushrooms out, throw some flavour in, and then throw the peas and sweet corn. There's one of the lights, better one, and there's the other one. So I got 2 drinks today. That was a substitute when I ordered Doom Bar, I think. And this one, I think I got this in Tesco. It's the stronger of the two. So I'll finish these guys off today. I did review one earlier when I came to scout this woodland, Hazy Days or something like that.
Flashback.
Hazy Days.
End of flashback.
So it's just gone about 10 minutes to 7 in the morning. It's still really dark outside. It is a cloudy night, so we're not going to see much in terms of sun today, I don't think. But the idea was kind of like, I'd really like to observe a bit of nature, because this is a woodland where apparently there's some deer activity. So I was hoping to get up kind of early, just be quiet and have a look around, see what I can see. Anyway, yeah, so I got up about 5:30, just lay there because I saw how dark it is outside. I opened up one of the pockets on the side of the Lavvu tent just to look out, and even now it's still pretty dark. It's probably about a few minutes to 7 already. Yeah, so I'm not going to start a fire yet. I think I'm just going to lay here, let the light levels increase a bit more. So there's the tent over there. Just on my finger. I got a bit of brush in front of it, not to be camouflage. I just thought I'd look behind here and see how does the tent look. I got the door open so it kind of stands out a little bit more, but when I walk that way past the camera, I just can't see the tent at all. I'm only going like 35 meters away, and it really gets hidden pretty well. So that color of the Polish palatka tent is pretty good. Okay, so I've grabbed a few bits of wood already. It's quite light. Looking at the LCD screen on the camera, it looks quite dark to you, but I can see pretty well. So I'm running around looking for wood, bits of wood, kindling and stuff. I'll get the fire going now. Breakfast will be, I'm going to make Bannock Bread. I may as well wrap it around a Hazel stick. I didn't bring a pan. And 3 eggs. That's pretty much it. There's last night's feather stick. Sawed after I made the fire, so it's a spare one, kept it aside for this morning. And this morning's feather stick, pretty funky.
2 hours later.
See, when you explore, inevitably, you discover things. So while that's burning up there, I'm gonna head off and see if I can find some hazel. Don't know if going that way is the right direction for that, because I think hazel's on the other side, but I'm gonna have a look anyway, just to cook the bannock on. Apparently, according to the map, this is an ancient woodland. That's not my OS map, that's just a local map. Got some pretty cool old stuff here, you know. A lot of these trees have fallen down and gotten themselves full of moss. Just looks so nice. So it's ancient. There's a lot of like willow in here. This, for example, this tree over here, I can't identify it. I really need to look into that because there's a lot of that here. Unless it's a type of willow, because that's the bark. Anyway. A lot of collapsed trees, a lot of dead wood that you can use, but because it's ancient and it's obviously very dark in summer. Oh look, there's hazel. Excellent. Because it's like that, a lot of the wood is quite rotting already. So of course you have to, as usual, you have to go for dead standing wood. But I'm quite reluctant in such an old, old woodland to be chopping things down and having saw marks everywhere. Mainly because, as well, I'm not really meant to be in here. The map said that there's no public access around here, so I think this is left for conservation. I don't think this is part of the farmer's field because it's separate. There's fences around it, and I think the woodland over there, kind of where it gets light above my finger, that's behind a typical barbed wire fence, and I think that becomes part of the farmer's land. So I'm going to head through to the tent and give you an idea of what my setup is like in there. On another note, the Polish Lavvu tent, when you go really, really far away, it does blend in, but what makes it stand out is when the doors open like this, that darkness, unnatural shape anyway, being like that. So it does stand out, but the color is perfect for this kind of woodland. Just when the doors open, you can just see it stands out so much. So the setup that I go for is I still use the center pole. I've got a cheap tarp. The tarp is it was like £5 on eBay. It's like, I think, a 3 meter by 2 meter. So I double or triple it up on that side, and on this side I don't bother with the sheet going there. I just keep my rucksack here, and on top of my rucksack I put any wood that I cut the night before. Here's some bracken, so those kind of things. And then with the tarp, I pull the tarp out here, and this is my personal belongings area. So there's a lighter there to light the ukulele-lantern. Then for sleeping, I have a few of these at home. They're like the £5, very cheap. It's a 5mm roll mat, and it's got the the foil kind of reflective stuff on the one side. Then I got the Highlander, I don't know what model it is, but it's a Highlander inflatable, self-inflating mattress. I got the small one because I only need the comfort in my upper body. I don't care about what happens to my lower body below my knees. So that one stretches there to there, and it's adequate for what I need it for. Then I got the military style wool blanket. I got the grey one, but unfortunately this one is like 55% wool and 45% synthetic. It's quite big, so you can wrap it underneath you, going around you and over the one side, almost like a sleeping bag. And then I got just a very general purpose sleeping bag. I don't have anything fancy for that. I don't think I'll buy any other sleeping bag for a while now. You don't need anything more than this when you're living in southern England. Another thing I want to say about the Lavvu is you have these little drawstrings. Don't know if you can see it. And I think that's for when you wear it as a poncho, but those drawstrings hang down on the inside. And there I have a sock hanging there. So you can move. What I used to do with my lantern was, these are the end caps of, you get 2 end caps on the pole set. So I let one of them be on the second pole, and I hang my Yuko lantern here so that the lantern hangs about here. That way you can have the heat a bit lower down. But when you're using it with the pack flat reflector, it doesn't really sit properly alongside this thing. So I found it's nice to rather just hang it on these drawstrings. So when you need to get into the tent and you need to get changed and moving around before you want to go to sleep, move it across to this side where your head is going to be. That's where my head is. So you have the access through this area to do everything you need to do. And then obviously when you want to just chill back, read a book or whatever, you can move it. If it's in the way, you can move it from there to that side. Then you could have your socks hanging above it, so the heat, and if you transfer it across, you can obviously, the heat will dry your socks out. That's pretty much my setup. And then boots will go in this area. Here's another typical NATO standard style stuff bag. I often use those to sit on. So last night I put my wool blanket, I folded it up, put it inside there. So while I was sitting at the fireplace, getting that going, cooking my food, that was my pillow, and it worked really well. It didn't made my blanket a bit cold, but it didn't make it damp. I used a new one for that. I got 2 of these. I use it for tripods, things like that. This is my beer for today. I had the other one last night. This one. It was pretty good. So 500ml. It says here like aroma is tropical hop, honey, malt, and a touch of candy floss. I couldn't detect the candy floss, but whatever. This woodland is quite devoid of birch and other species like that, but I did find one. I did go walking at the back there. I found one somewhere up that side. Massive, very, very beautiful tree. So there are some, but not that much, honestly. I'm quite surprised that there's not a whole lot of bird activity going on. I even heard parakeets a few minutes ago. Let's see. So there's the tent. You can kind of see it pretty well from here. Between those 2 trees. Kind of stands out from that angle. Starting to blend in again.
Many unbearable hours later.
So what I've done now is I've just quickly thrown, while I'm messing around with beer and all that stuff, I've quickly thrown the eggs in. I'm just gonna I've semi-scrambled them. I put them with a bit of olive oil, and the spicings are just salt, black pepper, and then my special kind of chili peri-peri rub mix. Put a little bit of that in there. So I'm just putting that there just so they can warm up. The other thing I need to do is still go get that Hazel on that side and slice a stick so I can make the Bannock Bread and put the Bannock Bread on top of that. So I'm going to be throwing a few more small pieces of wood onto the fire. There's really hot coals there now, but I just want to get something else in there as well, just because the Bannock takes quite a while. The last time I cooked it pretty well, but it was a little bit undercooked on the inside. So on the left I've got the Lixada 750ml stainless steel pot cup thing. Got water boiling in there, just for my coffee. And then on the right is the Pathfinder 750ml canteen cook set. You see the Pathfinder actual flask just over there. Inside there, inside the pot, I've put 3 eggs, a little bit of olive oil, some salt, cracked black pepper, a little bit of peri peri salt, things like that. See, there's the Bannock Bread, there's my coffee at the top of the frame, and looks like the coals aren't doing so well, so I'm going to go get some very small sticks to get a bit of a fire going, a little bit of small embers, carry on with the bread, and then I'm pretty sure the eggs in the Pathfinder canteen, that's that guy, are ready.
One eternity later.